In today's explainer, we are diving deep into one of the biggest threats to a hotel's bottom line: revenue fraud. Now, as a future leader in this industry, getting a handle on how to protect your hotel's assets isn't just another box to check, it's an absolutely critical skill for keeping the operation strong and successful.
Hello and welcome. I am a hotel AI expert with extensive experience in modern hospitality operations and performance support. I am pleased to welcome all students of Europe Hotel School to your online learning journey. We look forward to supporting your professional growth in the hospitality industry.
So, we've laid out a clear roadmap for this briefing. We'll kick things off by talking about the high-stakes environment you'll be working in. Then, we'll pinpoint the common ways fraud happens. After that, we'll look at the weaknesses that allow it, build a solid defense strategy, and wrap up by defining your crucial role as a leader in all of this. Let's get started.
First things first, we have to understand the landscape. In any hotel, the places where money is actually changing hands, cash handling, revenue processing, those are by their very nature the most at-risk areas for fraud.
So what is it we're actually up against? Well, revenue fraud is really any deliberate move to divert or hide a hotel's income. And this goes way beyond someone just dipping into the cash register. We're talking about a much bigger picture, like messing with credit card transactions, handing out discounts that aren't approved, or even creating completely fake refunds.
And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. It points to one of the biggest problems. When you have one single person who handles the cash and records the cash with nobody looking over their shoulder, well, that's a huge open door for fraud. That lack of oversight is a critical weakness. Okay, so we get the environment. Now let's take this big abstract idea of fraud and break it down into the real, tangible methods that people might actually use. Because, understanding exactly how these things happen is the first step to shutting them down for good.
We're going to zero in on 3 of the most common schemes you're likely to see. First up is skimming. That's basically taking cash right off the top. Second, we've got unauthorized discounts and services. And third, refund fraud, which really takes advantage of the process we use to compensate guests.
This really shows you just how simple and how dangerous skimming can be. It's pretty much a 4-step trick. An employee gets cash, maybe for a couple of drinks at the bar, but they just don't ring it up in the system. That cash goes right into their pocket. And because there's no record of the sale, the hotel has no clue that revenue was even there. It's like it never happened. It's invisible theft.
The line between great customer service and outright fraud can get a little blurry. For instance, a manager giving a complimentary drink to a guest who had a bad experience, that's a legitimate, properly recorded gesture. But an employee giving that same free drink to their buddy to get a bigger tip with no approval and off the books, that's fraud. And believe me, employees find ways to rationalize it, which is why having crystal clear policies is non-negotiable.
Now, refund fraud is especially sneaky because it twists a system that's supposed to help our guests. An employee could process a totally fake refund straight to their own credit card, or they might even team up with a guest, issue a massive refund, and then just split the cash. This kind of thing really flourishes when there's no need for a manager to sign off or for a second person to review it.
Okay, so we know how this stuff happens. The next big question is, why? And the truth is, fraud doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It happens because there are gaps in our systems, our procedures, and our oversight that basically leave the door wide open.
These are the cracks in our armor. Every single one is a failure of control. Let me give you some examples. If a front desk agent has the same system permissions as a finance manager, that's a huge crack. If the person taking the money is the same one counting it at the end of the night, that's another massive weakness. And when small cash shortages are just shrugged off again and again, it sends a really dangerous signal that nobody's watching that closely.
And this brings us to a fundamental rule that all the experts emphasize. It's called the principle of least privilege. It sounds fancy, but it's simple. Employees should only have access to the systems and functions they absolutely need to do their job, and nothing more. A reservation agent needs access to the reservation system, sure, but they definitely don't need access to payroll. Anything more is just asking for trouble. All right, we've spent a lot of time on the problems. Now let's shift gears and focus on the solutions. Because building a secure hotel operation isn't about finding one magic bullet, it's about creating layers of defense that all work together to protect you. Think of these as the 5 pillars of a really strong prevention strategy. It all starts with having clear, written rules that everybody gets. It demands that you separate duties so no one person has total control. It means using your technology the right way, having managers who are actively watching, and finally,
building a workplace culture where doing the right thing is just the norm.
This chart makes the strategy super practical. On the left, you've got the risks we've been talking about, and on the right, the specific controls you need to stop them. To beat skimming, you need daily reconciliations. That's just carefully comparing the cash you have with the sales you recorded, and you throw in surprise cash counts. To stop rogue discounts, you need clear policies, and you watch for strange trends. The key takeaway is simple. Your defense has to be as specific as the threat itself.
And please, remember this, procedures and tech are only half the story. Your team has to understand why these rules are in place, that they're there to protect everyone, including all the honest employees. A culture of transparency, where someone feels safe to raise a red flag, is one of the most powerful tools you have.
And that brings us to the final and I think most important part of all this, your role. As you transition from being a student to being a manager, your job shifts. You're not just following the rules anymore. You're the one safeguarding the entire operation.
So, as you get ready to step into that leadership role, here are the core ideas to carry with you. Always remember, fraud loves secrecy, so your job is to shine a light on everything. You have to implement and defend strong controls, like separating duties and managing system access. But above all, never forget that the culture you build, a culture of trust and integrity, is your absolute strongest line of defense.
So, I'll leave you with this question to really chew on. Policies can be bent, and rules can be broken. But a truly strong culture is much, much harder to defeat. So start thinking now. How are you going to inspire your team to take personal ownership of the hotel's integrity? Because that is the mark of a great leader.